History of the World Part 2 is now on Hulu, so I thought it was a perfect time to go through all 11 Mel Brooks films and rank them from worst to best. Hey everybody, my name's Justin here. I try to watch everything that hits theaters and on streaming services. If you guys are like me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and click that bell notification for more up and coming content. Of every ranking video that I've done on this channel, there is one that I've wanted to do for years, and it is the Mel Brooks films. With the release of History of the World Part 2, this is the perfect time to go through his films. Style of comedy is so great, so I'm very excited to talk about his 11 films. Leave your list down below. How would you rank all 11 Mel Brooks films? Have you seen them all? What do you think of each one? Let me know in the comment section. Coming in last place is Life Stinks. Simply put it, this movie stinks.
How original.
This is a film that is very different than his previous works, where films like Robin Hood and Spaceballs and Silent Movie were all parodies. This is a non-parody of a film that has some really clashing tones within it. It's really off-putting if you binge his films and then come across Life Stinks, as it has a lot of jokes within it, but also touches upon homelessness and greed. And when you have many gags throughout the film and you have characters that are being treated poorly and more depressing moments, they just don't work together. Most of the times the jokes just do not work within here, as that tone is completely off for this film. It is easily a forgettable film. Think about his movies, this is one that I do not think about at all. So Life Stinks easily is his worst film. Coming in at number 10 is Dracula Dead and Loving It. This is an odd film, as it particularly doesn't feel like it's Mel Brooks. This is a perfect pairing of Mel Brooks and Leslie Nielsen within here. And Leslie Nielsen has been known for a lot of those spoof films, and he is absolutely hilarious. But they really just don't benefit from this pairing. At times, a lot of it just feels like classic parody moments, and it really could have been directed by anybody. And then there are moments that it does feel like a Mel Brooks film. Some of the interactions, the set design, and some of the angles and lighting make it do feel like a Mel Brooks film. But most of it spoofing Dracula, pretty straightforward spin on it, just makes it feel kind of just average at best. The set design is really good. It feels like a classic, like Universal movie at times, and Leslie Nielsen is pretty funny in here, but really simple jokes, one-liners, not a lot of moments where the characters are interacting with each other. That's where a lot of the humor works for Mel Brooks in his previous films, is the conversations between the characters and that ongoing jokes between each other. That doesn't work in here, as a lot of it does feel very simple and just very quick, and you're not able to get a lot of laughs within here. It's a decent film, not as bad as I thought it would be, but one I don't really particularly like to watch over and over again. Coming in ninth place is The 12 Chairs. This is his second film and is focused on a few people who are trying to find a chair that has hidden jewels inside its stitching. Mel Brooks follows your simple kind of caper style within here, and the premise of it is pretty ridiculous, of having 12 chairs that were previously in a home, and in one of them, in the stitching, is a bunch of jewels. This is based off of a Russian novel of the same name, but the way that this film plays out, it feels very repetitive, and that's the point, is that they're trying to get down to like the last chair. But I've really lost interest within this film about halfway through, as they're trying to gather all the chairs and find the right one. It's just not that one. You see where everything is going to go. You know, the book's probably the same way too, but the jokes in here, you know, are funny at times. Looking at morality and the relationships that are growing within these characters and where the characters eventually end up. Beautiful cinematography for the countryside, but the second half is just where it kind of falls apart, repeating a lot of what we already seen, and it's just kind of a letdown at the end. Coming in 8th place is High Anxiety. This is a tribute to Alfred Hitchcock, and there are a lot of scenes in here from movies like Birds and Psycho. Really quick moments that are poking fun at Alfred Hitchcock, but also feel like it's paying tribute to him as well. The song High Anxiety in here is pretty catchy, and we see how talented not only Mel Brooks is as a writer and director, but also writing songs as well. I love the little references to Alfred Hitchcock in here, and Mel Brooks plays a really likable character as well. The film has a really kind of sluggish pace to it about second half of the movie, but there are enough gags and fun characters like Cloris Leachman as Nurse Diesel in here. There are enough funny moments in here, enough references to feel like it is paying tribute. The story isn't really that engaging. I found many moments in here that I just kind of wanted to move it just a little bit quicker. But High Anxiety perfectly spoofs Alfred Hitchcock. It's got some fun characters in it. The song High Anxiety is very catchy. You know, it's a fun film, but not one that I want to rewatch over and over again compared to like Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein and Spaceballs. Those are ones that when you think of Mel Brooks, you think of those films, and unfortunately you don't think of The 12 Chairs and High Anxiety or Dracula. That's why they sit at the bottom of the list. Coming in 7th place is The Producers. The film feels more like a play than anything else. Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder have really great chemistry within here. They really play off of each other to make this film really work. Everything from the storyline to the musical numbers in here are put together very well. The acting in here is really good, but The Producers, for being Mel Brooks' first directed film, you really get to see his style in here, the interactions between the characters, the development of the story. Wilder, I just absolutely love him. Everything I've seen him in, the guy is perfect. Coming in 6th place is History of the World Part 1. History of the World Part 1 has some really good moments in here, looking at these historical events. But unfortunately, like other sketch comedies, there are some moments that feel like they just go on for way too long and overstay their welcome. And then there are moments that just feel very brief, and you're not getting enough of what really does work in here. Structurally, I feel like at times they're just focusing on the wrong historical events, and they are initially funny, and they fall apart kind of throughout the sketch that they are offering. But the way that it looks, the direction, the costume designs, the acting, all of it is really good. It's a beautiful film to look at as it tries to piece together these different historical events and the different takes on them as well. At the time it was released, offering their own take with kind of modernizing it for its time. It does work. But unfortunately, there are moments that just feel like they go on for way too long. And unfortunately, there's moments that feel like they're just very brief and you wanted a little more of that. And that's why it sits a little bit kind of in the middle of it, is that there are some really great moments in here. Unfortunately, there are some moments that just do not work as well. And that's just based off of the different sketches in here. If it was a full movie focused on one certain event, it might have been just completely different. But since it's kind of highs and lows at times, that's why it sits here in the middle. Coming in 5th place is Silent Movie. I love when Mel Brooks takes a very specific genre and really runs with it. You got Spaceballs and the sci-fi elements to it, and here perfectly captures the silent movie era and all of the references and styles within here. It is handled very well. Silent Movie has the perfect amount of physical comedy and slapstick humor as well, with our characters, with a fun story as well. Mel Brooks often gets meta, and that's what I love about some of his films. When you look at like the end of Blazing Saddles or in Spaceball, when they're looking at the VHS and rewinding the film. Very meta moments in here, which follows a director and his two companions attempting star power for the director's comeback project, a silent film set in 1976. So there's a lot of meta moments and a lot of that slapstick style that really does work in here. They are perfectly capturing what worked for a silent movie within this film. It's an easy film to get through. It's really quick. Mel Brooks, Dom DeLuise in here, and Marty Feldman all work The chemistry is perfect. They play off of each other. They really add to that slapstick style, add to the plot. There's enough development for these characters. It's a treat for Mel Brooks fans. Coming in fourth place is Robin Hood Men in Tights. I know a lot of people have this a little lower on their list, but this was actually the first Mel Brooks film I saw, and I remember watching it a lot growing up, as I really loved the story of Robin Hood. Any adaptation of Robin Hood, I try to see and I try to appreciate it for what it is. Some of the worst Robin Hood adaptations, I'll find something to like about it. I don't know, just something about the story of Robin Hood I find very intriguing. So having a comedy by Mel Brooks about Robin Hood, that really works for me. And having Dave Chappelle in here, I love watching the Chappelle Show growing up. So, there's a lot of things in here, pure nostalgia for me as well, but I think they really spoof Robin Hood's story to the best of its ability, and there's just a lot of gags, a lot of jokes in here, a lot of fun, like small musical moments as well. The look of it is beautiful, the set design, everything in here, I laughed a lot. Coming in third place is Spaceballs. After watching Robin Hood Men in Tights as a kid, I followed it up with Spaceballs. So these are probably the two ones that I recognize the most with Mel Brooks and the ones I've seen the most. And I love Star Wars, so Spaceballs was one that I was really excited to see after watching Robin Hood Men in Tights. This film really feels like a parody. Out of all of the Mel Brooks films, this is the one that it is clear it is a parody by switching the names of the characters, having ridiculous costumes for them, the meta moments in here. It feels like a classic parody, but it has a really strong Mel Brooks vibe to it, with the interactions between the characters, the ongoing jokes, the lengthy moments between the characters as they add a lot of humor to, as it adds a lot of humor to it. But the interactions between the characters and the Star Wars sci-fi vibe to it is strong within here. It's full of likable characters and moments that you feel like everybody's just having a good time. The plot moves a bit slow in the beginning. When we eventually have our four main characters meet up with each other, I was surprised by watching it how long it took for them to actually get together. So the beginning, it feels a bit slow with Barf and everybody else within here. I think they tried to do a little too much in the beginning, but overall this film is so fun. The jokes are constantly coming. It's a perfect parody of Star Wars, and it's just left and right with the references with Yogurt, who's supposed to be Yoda, and Darth Helmet as well. It's just absolutely perfect, and I love it. Coming in second place is Blazing Saddles. This is probably the funniest Mel Brooks films. It is filled to the brim with gags and one-liners and these interactions between the characters that really do work. It is vulgar, it is goofy at times, but it perfectly understands what a parody is supposed to do. And it is a Western film that, one, looks absolutely beautiful. The set for everything, and then how meta it gets at the end of it. Blazing Saddles is a film that I don't think could be made today. First off, a lot of racist moments and a lot of vulgar scenes between characters. But Gene Wilder and Cleavon Little have really good chemistry in here, and their characters are perfectly explored throughout the film. Like I said, I love Gene Wilder. He is perfect in here. Cleavon Little adds a lot to the humor within here. His characters perfectly explored and developed throughout the film. The parody moments of a Western film are great in here. It feels like a Mel Brooks film with the interaction between characters, the gags within here. I've always found Blazing Saddles to be a hilarious film. Coming in first place is Young Frankenstein. I do think Young Frankenstein is one of the best comedies. It looks really good. Black and white film, really paying tribute to kind of classic Universal horror monster movies. The set design I've been amazed with ever since I saw it, and recently just rewatching it for this ranking video, I was impressed with the backdrops for these movies and the set and the costumes and the dedication for that. That is one of the best things for Young Frankenstein, is its environment and how it does feel like it is matching its story. But the repeated jokes throughout Gene Wilder as Young Frankenstein, it works. He is so funny in here. His run of films around Young Frankenstein's time was perfect. Marty Feldman is so funny as Igor, and those repeated jokes, how he positions himself into some of these comedic moments, they are very surprising as we have some conversations between some of the other characters, and then there's Igor delivering a line, and it just kind of throws off that scene and just absolutely works and is hilarious. And Peter Boyle as Frankenstein's monster, that was a great pick for this character, and watching him grow throughout the film in the end is pretty funny. Young Frankenstein is a classic Mel Brooks film. It's got classic gags and parody moments, but it feels like its dedication is the dedication within it is very strong as well. Just the look of it is just some of the best I've seen for a comedy of that time that it was released. Madeline Kahn, Terry Garr, just the whole cast in here really played off of each other. One of the funniest films I have seen. Like I said, Blazing Saddles I think is his funniest movie, but Young Frankenstein all around as a whole is his best film. So there you guys have it, all 11 Mel Brooks films ranked worst to best. Have you seen them all? Let me know what you thought about the films in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for more up and coming content like this. My name is Justin Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.